I'm 18 male, estranged from my dad. I last went to his house over a year ago, but it was a long time coming. He wasn't really around much when he was married to my mom, wasn't very interested when he divorced her either, and would have me in his house and just leave me alone, or with a babysitter, depending on my age. He left me to get into trouble many times because he wouldn't sign stuff from school and didn't have a phone I could call mom from when I was younger. She went to court and they just said that all school stuff should be sent to her after several incidents of me getting into trouble happened, and the school even sending home notes and stuff. He never remembered my birthday. He never acknowledged me for Christmas. Every Christmas I was with my mom, and he even forgot where I was in his house a few times. I was sick and extra demanding once, and he yelled at me for annoying him. He started dating this woman, Missy, when I was 15, and she had a toddler daughter at the time, Leah. My father's now adopting Leah. Apparently, she wanted me there for her adoption day and wanted a sibling moment because to her, she's not just gaining a dad, she's gaining a brother. But I don't want contact with her either. I've been no contact with my dad for a few months now, except for this incident, and I'm not going to show up for her just because he's adopting her. I wasn't interested when I spent part of the time in the same house as her, and that hasn't changed for me. But my father's going all out to give her what she wants. He showed up at my mom's house with her, and she was all eager and excited to see me and gave me an invite she had made, and she told me she really wanted me there. She's like kindergarten age now, maybe even a year older. I never really paid attention to her age, and she remembers me some. She used to follow me around when I was still going to Dad's, but I told her I couldn't go and made things move along. Then he shows up on his own and tells me she wants me there, and I owe it to her, and how could I say I wouldn't come when she's so excited to have a brother? I told him to go screw himself and handle his daughter however he wants, but she's not my problem. He told me I was an idiot for taking it out on a kid. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. Return to no contact with your dad and let him deal with the fallout. He made his bed, and now he can lie in it. And you never took it out on her, just on him. So it's not your fault he's dragging her around to emotionally blackmail you. Maybe one day you and her can bond over how much of a crappy dad he is. The thing is, he'll be a good dad to her as long as he's interested in her mom. This might just be the next decade. That poor little girl will meet OP's father's true face at some point. Sadly, then she'll understand why the brother she hoped to have ghosted her. Isn't it nice your dad maybe wants to be a parent now, but he already has a kid he didn't bother with? This is accurate. She's not gaining a brother because your father lost his son through his own actions. Your dad had no right to tell Leah that you would be going, so he's responsible for her disappointment. You have every right to go no contact after the crappy way he's behaved towards you. He hasn't been a parent, and now he has a new family. He thinks he gets to press a big reset button and the past disappears? No. His wife probably thinks he was a great dad for you too, because she has one version, you know whose. So she's probably pushing him into connecting more with you because of his lies. Also, a little girl wouldn't be excited about an 18-year-old coming to her adoption unless her parents drummed it into her. Exactly. I wanted to say OP needs to have a very serious conversation with the child's mother and really explain what his father is and what kind of person he really is and how he was treated by his father growing up. Then at least OP can feel that he made sure the new wife knew what she was getting into and that he meant no hurt or ill will towards the child or her. When I, 40 female, was 16, I started dating Matt. We married at 20 and welcomed our beautiful daughter, Ivy, at 22. I welcomed our son alone at 24. Matt was the love of my life. If he were still here, I have no doubt that we'd still be married. I have no doubt that we'd be just as in love with each other now as we were back then. But Matt died before he could even meet our son, Jacob. And I was so certain I would never fall in love again after him. I thought there would be no one else, no other man, that could make me smile as brightly as Matt did. Even when friends suggested I start moving on, or when my parents talked about this nice young man they'd met, I never once wavered in my belief that Matt was the only one for me. Until I met James, 42 male, when I was 36. He's wonderful, brilliant. I love him so much. I feel like Matt had led him to me. It was his way of telling me that it was okay to move on, that I didn't have to be alone anymore. I feel in my heart that James is also the love of my life. He's given me 4 good years, and I'm terrified that it would be taken away from me. My kids love him too, and his daughter, now 20, also loves me. We moved in together. He's helping Ivy pick out colleges, and we even have a baby together. James knows how much I loved and still love Matt. He's come with me to his grave, spoken to his headstone like they were old friends. He even told Matt when he was planning to propose. A few nights ago, we had a celebratory engagement dinner. Matt's family was invited because they're still very much involved in my life, and I wanted to share this moment with them. James and I both gave short speeches to our families, and in mine, I mentioned that I was lucky to have been blessed with 2 soulmates, which apparently was the wrong thing to say, because I was later pulled aside by Matt's mother to say that she was hurt by what I said, and that Matt would be rolling around in his grave if he'd heard. Matt's aunt then reached out afterward to ask if I'd ever loved him. Some members of my family think I shouldn't have put it into the speech, that it was obvious I loved James because we were engaged alone. But I wanted to incorporate Matt into my speech, somehow, because he was the father of my children, and James approved of the speech beforehand anyway. A friend says I can't have loved Matt that much if I was moving on like this. Her partner died 3 years ago, and she, like I used to, maintains that she'll never find love again. Another friend from the same group says it's natural to move on, and that Matt wouldn't want me to be alone. I don't know. I'm torn. I'm afraid that I'm really tarnishing my relationship with Matt by getting married again. I'm afraid that I'm not allowed to love James this much. I'm afraid that I'm an idiot for saying that they're both my soulmates, even though I feel it's true. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. Shame on anyone who feels like they have the right to judge you. You love Matt. You always will. You found a fantastic new start with James, who knows how you feel about Matt and approved of the speech. They may still be grieving and don't know how to express their loss, but they have no right to belittle what you had with Matt and what you have with James. I'm happy you're healing and found both of your loves. It was 12 years between Matt's passing and your meeting James. Not even the most judgmental prude could have anything to say about that. James also seems like a stand-up guy. He gets it and understands that it's not a competition. Matt's mom and the rest can go pound sand. Agree. James sounds like an exceptional person. I'm so happy for you. My mother lost my father at 46 and married my stepdad at 51. She said she loved them both equally but differently. Love is always an unexplainable phenomenon. You can never describe how it feels, and you're entitled to as much love as your significant others have brought you. Some people never even find one soulmate. You found 2 on your journey. It's a specific journey to you that others won't understand. My friend, 27, female, and I, 29, female, plan to vacation together to a tropical destination. We booked a 2-bedroom villa and agreed to split the cost 50-50. Everything was going great until a week before the trip, when she told me she had invited her boyfriend, 28, to join us without asking me first. I was annoyed that she didn't discuss it with me before inviting him. However, she argued that she should be able to bring her boyfriend along since we're both adults, and he wouldn't affect my vacation experience. In fact, she insisted that he be sharing her bedroom, so there wouldn't be any extra cost for accommodations. Despite my reservations, I decided to go along with it, but then I suggested that we split the cost 3 ways instead of 50-50, as there would now be 3 of us on the trip. She disagreed, stating that since they're sharing a bedroom and not causing any extra expenses, the 50-50 split was still fair. I think it's unfair for me to pay half of the cost when there are 3 of us on the trip. However, she argues that her boyfriend's presence won't increase the cost and that I'm trying to make her pay more than her fair share. So, am I the idiot? Not the idiot. Please do not help pay for your friends and her boyfriend to take a vacation. Back out if you can. I doubt you'll enjoy yourself, and you will resent them for taking advantage of you. By the way, they absolutely are taking advantage of you. It is 2 people getting a trip for the price of 1, while you subsidize the 3rd person. How will her boyfriend's presence not change your holiday experience? It was supposed to be the 2 of you. Now you have to split the attention and activities because boyfriend and girlfriend do different stuff together. Seems like the boyfriend and girlfriend wanted a cheap holiday, after all, and decided to take advantage of you for that goal. Back out and make them pay for the entire villa if possible. See if they still want to go. OP, you're now a 3rd wheel instead of someone going on a trip with a friend. Exactly, the 3rd wheel. I went on a trip with 2 couples my final year of college, I think. All were my friends before they got together. It was the worst time of my life, in a very beautiful place. I 100% don't recommend it. Is it too late to back out? If so, I'd donate my half to the friend's parents so they can go in my place. It won't affect her vacation experience any. This is awesome. I'd suggest a random stranger, but this is better. Absolutely. OP is paying 50% of their couple's trip. Haha. She wants OP to subsidize her romantic getaway. Sorry, OP, that you had to go through that. Of course you should pay his 3rd. If your friend said you're all adults, is he grown up enough to pay for his share? Your friend knew she would invite the boyfriend way ahead of time without telling you. It was never a friend trip. It's a planned couples vacation with you as the 3rd wheel, paying half of it. I share custody of 3 boys, young teen, tween, and pre-tween, with my ex-wife. We've been separated for almost 5 years. During that time, we used a sitter for the 2 oldest boys, and now for the middle and youngest boys. Our sitter's very much like a member of our family, and my tween is very attached to him. Unfortunately, our sitter's ready to move on and agreed to stay until the end of this summer. My ex remarried a few years ago to Chris, and they have no kids together, but he has an 18-year-old son. Chris offered to become the sitter since he can work from home full-time and misses being a hands-on dad. No, he wouldn't get paid. I said, no, I'm good. He was pretty upset and asked why. I simply said that he's not a neutral party, and I don't think you'd connect with the boys as our current sitter has. Plus, I don't think he has patience. I can't see him having a sense of humor when the oldest cops an attitude, or when the tween refuses to shower, or when the youngest whines. I said worst comes to worst, I'll take care of it myself by changing my work schedule so I can work from home full-time. He asked me what was up with my attitude, and I said I was being blunt. Things have gone well for the last 5 years, and I want to make sure it still does. My ex is angry at me and is complaining about the money that has to be spent on a sitter. She said that I should be paying 100% of the babysitter cost if we end up needing one, since I turned down an opportunity for a free sitter. You are the idiot. If you're determined not to let their stepdad do the babysitting, which, barring a pressing reason, honestly sounds like you resent the idea of your kids bonding with their stepdad, then you need to pony up the cash, since you're the one vetoing the free option. It wouldn't even be babysitting. Oh no, how dare the kid's stepdad want to actually parent and bond with his stepkids? OP, do you have any idea how many kids of divorce would give anything to have their step-parent actually care about them? It sounds like you're bitter that stepdad would get to spend more time with the kids. And he has an 18-year-old son, so he has the experience and has been involved with his stepkids. Nah, he's jealous and still not over his ex, so he's got to pay for a sitter. I would be checking the custody agreement if I were your ex. In my agreement, I'm only responsible for child care on my custody days and can decide what the child care is. My ex had his mom babysit for free on his days while I was paying for aftercare in my time. Now that I'm remarried, I definitely have my husband help when needed. Update: my kids are not dogs who love anyone that feeds them and takes them out on walks. Chris hasn't been hands-on with them because he had his own kid, and my kids are mostly with me. Being a sitter is unlike any role he's ever played in their lives. I already know how it will go down. He's going to think the boys will be happy to have him as a sitter, will listen, want to snuggle and talk to him about personal things, because that's what he did with his son. His relationship with his son has always been odd. My kids will hardly be excited and will likely want to avoid him in that capacity. I took my son to Six Flags. He's a young grammar schooler and just barely under the height limit to ride by himself on the roller coasters, so I have to ride with him. He just likes the kiddie coasters, and there's one in particular that he wants to ride repeatedly. I did as many rides as possible, but I was motion sick and ready to throw in the towel, while he wanted to go many more times. As I explained to him that it was time to go and do something else, a couple of teens approached me and offered to ride with my son if he wanted to go a few more times on the coaster. They said that they were roller coaster fans trying to get as many credits as they could, and explained that every roller coaster equals 1 credit. They were too tall to ride the kiddie coaster without a child. I didn't see the appeal of riding a kiddie coaster as a teenager. Still, I didn't see the harm in it. What was going to happen in broad daylight, surrounded by people with me watching from 10 feet away? So I said, you know what? Sure. And I stood by the exit and watched them. They took turns taking kiddo on the ride, and then just said thanks and left after they all had their turn. I told my husband about it when we got home, thinking it was just kind of a funny, weird story, but he was very, very upset about it and thought it was a very dangerous thing to do. I really, truly don't see where any sort of scheme could have been pulled off. I was right there and watching the entire time. He said, "Stranger danger. That's common sense." I said, okay, but we were walking around in a crowd of strangers all day. I feel like I'm being painted as this irresponsible parent now, even though nothing bad happened, and I genuinely can't think of how something bad could have happened, given the circumstances. Assuming it was the typical children's coaster with full view, where you can safely watch him with a single exit, not the idiot. I've done the same myself, ride with a child whose parents weren't comfortable riding, when we had 2 adults with 1 child. Just a small helpful act when I was there anyway. Now go read The Gift of Fear with your husband to work together in teaching your kids about gut feelings. Stranger danger needs to be clarified. This drives me nuts. We shouldn't teach kids to be afraid of everyone. It's ridiculous. These teens did a good deed. If you were weird and nervous, that would have discouraged them from being kind to strangers in the future. You did the right thing. Your husband needs to chill. And if I were you, I'd be hella insulted that he doesn't trust you or your instincts. He wasn't even there. He's probably imagining a bunch of angst-ridden criminals rather than the passionate and polite people that were there. Here's my opinion. You are the idiot. Hubby's right. You didn't know these people. It turned out fine, but it might not have. And that's the point. Hubby's not telling you that you're a bad parent. Hubby's telling you that you made a mistake and never to do it again. If you keep defending your mistake, then he may doubt your decision-making in the future and not trust you. I see your husband's point that there was no good reason to put your son at risk, no matter how slight. Makes me wonder what other parental duties you would hand your child off to strangers so that you could rest.